you doing? How are you going? Welcome back to the channel. This week I've got a crazy dog and lots of crazy dogs, and if this doesn't give it away, we're doing some work on the F100. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get my voice back because I've lost that. I'm going to do a bit of a walk around showing you the F100, the things that we've done to convert it. This was originally a V8 when it came to us. We removed the engine, absolute petrol head through and through. I love a V8. The thing I don't like about a V8 is the cost of fuel in this country. Had I lived in America, I would absolutely love a V8. There's no way on this planet I would not have a V8. So we removed the motor, we try to make it more fuel efficient and actually usable to the point where you're not chucking a ton of fuel in and it's taking the fun out of driving. There are a lot of parts on this car that were developed for the Land Rover conversions, and they work perfectly well on the F100 conversion as well. It just shows how these parts are very adapter friendly and universal across the board. So yeah, let's get into it and take a look around. I'm sort of doing this the wrong way round. So what we have done is we've swapped the manifold. You can see a bit of rudimentary wiring there. We'll get back to that. You're going to see that later on in the video. So what we've got here, E300 Turbo D, exactly the same engine as what we work with in the Discovery. This has got one of the manifolds that we use on the Defender conversions. The original manifold was going to hit the brake servo at the back there. So this was a manifold that was on my Discovery. I removed it from the Discovery, put it on this, and it lines up absolutely perfect. One of the things that we have done with this engine conversion as well is the engine is actually now sat smack in the centre of the chassis rails. So the original engine wasn't sat in the centre, but we've actually positioned this dead in the centre. So what you can see down there is our universal engine brackets. That's a 300 CDI engine rubber. And it just goes to show the diverseness of the universal brackets. They can be utilised to fit pretty much any engine configuration into a chassis. Them lower mounts that are actually bolted onto the car are the only things that we've had to make. We've swapped the turbo manifold. So this engine actually came out of a car that we purchased from a customer, and there was a turbo adapter on the manifold, various bits and pieces as well that came with the car. We've just basically used it up to now. We got the car going. The plan of attack was always to showcase our parts, and obviously we want to test things. So this is not only a vehicle that we use for showing people, but it's also something that we test. So this has got a Garrett turbo on. It's a small frame Garrett 2856. It's a T2 flange on the bottom of the turbo. And one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to see how the smaller frame turbos work on the 606. And one thing I will say is this thing is so drivable, and the throttle response is absolutely bang on. What do they say? It's not boost until, is it 2 bar? It's a lot bigger than the stock turbo, but it's, I would genuinely say that that turbo is near to what the stock turbo gives in throttle response, but with a lot more on top of it. We've done titanium downpipe. You'll get into that anyway. There's a screamer pipe. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the EGT gauge and all that sort of stuff in the video. We'll go into a little bit of a clip showing you. I don't know if you saw this earlier on the Instagram feed over the last week or so. We made that centre console. So we're utilising the off-gear controller And then this has got the original car gearbox in it because it's only rear wheel drive. So that's a genuine Mercedes box that's in there. And what we've had to do, just go underneath and try to show you. There's a custom made centre cross member that's actually bolt-in removable. Yet again, we've got all this on file now. So the plan of attack is we'll get that all powder coated underneath there. There were subtle modifications that were needed to be made to the front subframe. Everything pretty much cleared really nicely. One of the custom jobs that we had to do was on the back side of the gearbox is the Mercedes prop shaft, and then that goes to the Ford prop shaft at the rear. So that carrier bearing is Ford, the Mercedes part is Mercedes, and we've had to have a custom prop shaft made to go from Mercedes to Ford. There's a few things that we're doing inside here, so not really happy that the gauges are sat up there. It was just pretty much for test purposes to start with. The plan of attack is to do a lot of rework on this car and get things to how we want it to be. But first and foremost is always to do as much testing as possible to make sure you're happy. The last thing we want to be doing is a job 3 times. So we're happy that we've got the information that we need from the gauges that we've got. We now need to just put them in place on the inside and do various other bits and pieces. Yeah, so 722.6 box on there, throttle position sensor from off gear, the whole bells and whistles. We're using a diesel Mechan 7.5mm mechanical pump. I love the mechanical pumps. For me personally, there's no wiring on it. It's just adjust it how you like. Absolutely fantastic. We sell diesel Mechan diesel pumps. You know, really good reputation. They've been around for years. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough about them. And that's who we use for our pumps. There's still lots of stuff on this car that we want to rework. Not 100% happy with just having an air filter on there. Probably going to move the battery to this side. Stick an airbox at that side. You know, some more tidying up and bits and pieces. But for all intents and purposes, that car drives down the road absolutely fine. We've got all the test work that we want to do done to it. The next thing, let's get into showing you this turbo manifold. Diesel! Ooh! Yeah. Turbo off, as you can see. What are we doing here? We're doing diesel. Manifold is on the bench. We've decided our location for the wastegate. So the next thing is onto the positioner, weld round the base, onto here. He says a little bit more fitment. Buzz that round there and get it back in the car. So you can see now wastegate flange in place, ready to go back onto the car. One thing I will say is this stuff, when using a die grinder, absolutely bang on. It keeps the die grinder tip cool and stops it from blocking up. A little bit of a hack there, if you're ever using a die grinder on aluminium or stainless, anti-spatter, save the oil. Really, really good quality gear, can't recommend it enough. So that's the grunt of the manifold on. Next thing is to alter the oil drain. This car was
built by somebody else. The pipe now is going to go in between the primary 2 and 3. So if we run this piece of rubber, it's going to set on fire. Can't really do that. We need some heat-proof AN10. I can utilise the old fitting. Perfect. So we'll be able to reuse that. And then what I'm going to do is swap out the fitting on the block for one of our own fittings, which will be AN10 on the block. So we'll have an AN10 coming off the turbo, AN10 on the block. That is the next job. The other thing as well is, where have I put it? The downpipe. So this is all wrong now. The wastegate doesn't go into here. I'm going to do a screamer pipe. I need to cut this off, stick a V-band on there, and then what I do have is some titanium. So I'm going to do a bit of a titanium, similar to the Discovery, off the back, titanium into the existing stainless downpipe. So underneath the bonnet, you can just see that bit of tie shining nice, looking slick. Okay, so we have the downpipe done. That goes inside there like that. Lovely, lovely. Next thing is wastegate pipe, which I've got primed, ready to go on the bench. There, with a fitting, back purge cap. There. Let's do it, mate, let's do it. And another piece of the puzzle, EGT gauge. Turbo housing drilled and tapped to a 1.8 MPT. Now we can fit the probe inside there and we can get that valuable information that we need from the exhaust gases. Next job. On to the final steps now. We have oil drain pipe done. So we're going to fit that onto the turbo and hopefully we'll be able to fire this thing up. That pipe needs to go on. I'll have to get that plumbed in. But yeah, next step, get it done. We're running. Half 5, back together, ready for tomorrow. We're going on the dyno. Wonder how much power. What do you reckon? Make some comments below and tell me how much power you think we're going to make. I don't know if I'm going to reveal it. I don't know if I'm going to reveal it till next week. Put some comments below, guess the power, let us know what you think. Listen, hey, listen, stop with all the fighting. This needs to stop, the lot of you, especially you. Look at you, trying to bite me. Hey, wait there. Let's get a team photo. Hey, wait there. We need a team photo. Woo! We are on the way to the dyno. Done a few heat cycles on the turbo manifolds just to make sure it's got hot and got cold. So that's one thing that you do need to do with stuff that's brand new. You know, you can't just run it up. If you do that, it's not really a good idea. If anything's going to warp, you know, you've got to let it bed in. EGT gauge sat there nicely nestled to give us our information. We have a boost gauge, and yeah, let's see what this spicy unit can do. Here we are, K2's top secret testing lab. A little shed, Dad's garage look, in Yorkshire. First things first, we've blown a hose off on the way down. Some fans, a dyno hub, a Mini making 21 horsepower at the wheels, and an F100 about to come in. Lovely. So the other thing as well that we were just doing there that you saw was these are slotted holes. So we've put a dial gauge onto there to get our hub dyno central ready to bolt on. What we've just done there to calculate the diff ratio, because we've had a look online and there's a lot of different options regarding diff ratios. We just made a little bit of a mark there on the end of the drum. If you see, I turn it around, it lines up, and we just counted the rotations in relation to the diff, to the wheel, and that is, if we've measured it, 2.75 to 1. So we'll see how that goes in a minute. That right, Pete? And my good friend. Not boost till you pass 30 psi. Woo, buddy! We're back here Saturday afternoon after being at the dyno with my good friend Pete. I'm not going to let you know what happened. I'm going to let you know on the next episode on the F100. So I'm going to keep you in suspense. What I do want you to do is keep the guesses coming at the power that this thing is making, and all will be revealed. If you're still here at this point, I want to thank you massively. Our YouTube channel is growing nicely. If you like what we're doing, as I've said before, thanks very much to all the subscribers. If you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, because it'll keep you informed every time we upload a video, and it helps with all the YouTube, Google, algorithm, whatever it is, carry on. So next week's episode, we've done
Loads of work on the Nissan Patrol. I've done a lot of work on the Discovery. Not sure which one I'm going to do yet, but either of them two are going to be really good. There's lots more stuff coming on the F100. I've done lots of variation recently. I've done a couple of episodes on the Disco. I've done a couple of bits on the F100. We've touched base on the KX500. We've got lots of content and we've got lots of videos coming. Thank you very much for watching. Keep subscribing, keep liking, and we'll see you on the next one. Right, Diesel? That's in for it. We better ring the mobile. See if we can get some more. Blair, look at what you're doing in the background, making noise. If you're watching this video Saturday at R5, you've been banging outside with pallets all day, and now you're driving back in with your truck. Mate, honestly, we need to have words. Don't we? We need to tell him, don't we? You go out there and tell him, see him off, see him off, see him off. Right, where was I? Where were we? Where were we? Where were we?